Hey, when you and your buddies are looking for a place to watch baseball this season, how about Long Neck Sports Grill? Each location has 4K TVs all over the place, so you'll never miss a pitch. The menu is so extensive that you can get something different every time you visit, and no place in Northern Kentucky has a better beer selection. There are locations in Wilder, Hebron, and Richwood, and when the weather is warm, there's nothing better than a spring night on Long Neck's outdoor patio. This baseball season, Long Neck Sports Grill. Stay late. Come often. 22 minutes after 5 o'clock, this is ESPN 1530 Mo Egger. We on this show for a couple of years now have benefited immensely from the expertise offered by the specialists and experts at OrthoCincy's. They've got specialists all over the tri-state, walk-in orthopedic urgent care during the week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturdays 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and at Edgewood and Anderson. Anderson's where I took my daughter for her broken foot. You can learn more at OrthoCincy.com. That's OrthoCincy.com. Answering our call today is our friend Dr. Jonathan Slaughter, who was our go-to guy in the immediate aftermath of Joe Burrow's wrist injury last year that he suffered against the Baltimore Ravens, and we're dealing with something that, I don't know, maybe it's similar. I don't know. Dr. Slaughter, it's good to have you. I appreciate the time. How are you?
Good, thanks, Mo. I'm glad I could come on for you.
I'm glad you could do this. So we're working through a lot here. Christian Encarnacion-Strand, he gets hit by a pitch April 27th, so about a week and a half ago. They do X-rays. The X-rays are negative. We're told that they have discovered a new fracture that Christian was not really aware of. He misses some games. They don't put him on the injured list. He comes back and he plays 4 games. And then today we find out a new fracture is discovered, an ulnar styloid fracture, which I've never heard of, and now he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. There's a lot to work through here. Let's start with the injury. What is an ulnar styloid fracture?
Absolutely. So the ulnar styloid is a little piece of bone. So it's one of the long bones of your forearm. If you feel your elbow and that point at your elbow, that is your ulna. If you trace that all the way down, it comes to the small finger side of your hand, and you feel this bump. That's the ulnar head, and there's a small little protrusion off that called the ulnar styloid. That's where different ligaments attach that help with wrist stability, as well as a piece of cartilage called your triangular fibrocartilage complex, which is like the meniscus of the wrist. So an ulnar styloid fracture is usually a fracture somewhere through that little small protrusion of bone, whether it's just a small little avulsion, pull a fleck of bone off the end, or it could be all the way down at the base of that. But it's that small protrusion of bone that is fractured.
All right, walk me through why something like this is just now being discovered and maybe didn't appear on the scans and X-rays a week and a half ago.
Yeah, so a lot of times fractures, especially if it's a blunt force trauma, can create a bone contusion, which is almost the start of a fracture if you continually stress it. And sometimes you can even have a crack in the bone through the contusion that you can't initially see, especially with blunt force trauma, because most ulnar styloid fractures you see is after a fall, and it's associated with the other long bone, the radius fracture also. So here he probably had a blunt force contusion or like a bruise of the bone that could have had a small crack. That doesn't initially show on X-ray. He probably had some tenderness there. And so if I was seeing him, I see the X-rays, no obvious fracture, a little pain there, likely a bone bruise, especially given the mechanism. Let's rest this, immobilize it for a couple days, ice it, see how you do. If you're getting better, then let's start swinging, see how you play. Then he started swinging. He probably continued to have discomfort, but being an athlete who's a good athlete that wants to help his team and also wants to play because he doesn't want to lose the spot, continues to play. Now he's having lingering pain. They check it out again, and either the force of him constantly swinging, potentially even rolling over a ball, caused a small little contusion or crack to fully displace. That means kind of move position and become apparent on X-ray.
We've been talking a lot about wrist injuries. You and I talked about Joe Burrow about 6 months ago. TJ Friedel suffered a wrist injury. How does something like this particular injury compare to other wrist fractures, torn ligaments, and things of that nature?
So this one would act more like a wrist sprain. Yeah, the bone there's at least a crack. I don't know if it's displaced or not, but it can be seen now on imaging. but it acts more like a sprain because it's where the ligaments that help with stability of the wrist. However, it's nowhere in the category of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow could be a more devastating type injury, but he's showing good recovery promise. So this one is going to be more like a wrist sprain that you really just need to get the ligaments to settle down, calm down, and heal.
So we're not talking about something where surgery is a likely option.
It's very rare. So we do occasionally operate on ulnar styloids. It depends on where in the ulnar styloid. If it's at the base where it comes into the ulnar head, it's more prone to potentially need surgery. But even a lot of those, as long as the wrist is stable, and what we really are testing there for stability is between the two long bones, the ulna and the radius. If he has stability there, it's very rare to operate on these.
All right, so the timeline being talked about here is 4 to 6 weeks. That's pretty open-ended. Nobody is saying that he's going to have to miss the rest of the season or anything like that. Does that timeline sort of jibe with what you've come to understand about this sort of injury?
Yes. So a lot of times when I see something like this, and again, an isolated ulnar styloid fracture is rare, but when you see something like this, it is just immobilized rest, let the ligaments calm down, try to get the bone to heal. You're looking at 4 to 6 weeks. He's already a little over a week in. So 4 weeks from now would put him almost 5.5 weeks out. It could be very reasonable in 4 weeks. He could start swinging a bat again. But if he continues to have pain and soreness, it could be more the 6 to 7 or 8 weeks.
Was there extra risk incurred by having him play these last 4 games?
I mean, if you look at it, yeah, he had soreness. There could have been an occult fracture. So yes, you can always cause a further injury. But I think it was low risk, just based on everything I've read so far with the negative x-rays. Obviously, he is able to swing the bat. We can argue on if it was effective or not, but he was able to swing the bat with minimal discomfort. So I don't think the risk of him continuing to play was inappropriate at all. It's something I would even have my college or high school athletes do if they were having minimal pain.
What sort of sporting event are you at right now? I hear kids in the background.
Yeah, I'm at my 10-year-old son's baseball game. They're loosening and warming up.
All right.
But I'm one of the assistant coaches, and I told them just give me a few minutes and I'll be back.
We will. That's far more important than talking to me. Get back to that. I really do appreciate your time on short notice. We will chat soon. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You can always call me, Mo.
Most definitely. Dr. Jonathan Slaughter, OrthoCincy. We say this every single week. The awesome thing about the people at OrthoCincy is they've got specialists and locations all over the tri-state. You never need an appointment. They have walk-in orthopedic urgent care weekdays 9 to 9 p and Saturdays 9 to 1 p in Edgewood and Anderson. It's easier and cheaper than going to an ER whenever you have an urgent orthopedic injury. And I could speak from experience because my daughter broke her foot at recess, and within just a couple of hours, we were walking out of OrthoCincy, and she was on her way back. Go to OrthoCincy.com. That's OrthoCincy.com. Hey, when you and your buddies are looking for a place to watch baseball this season, how about Long Neck Sports Grill? Each location has 4K TVs all over the place, so you'll never miss a pitch. The menu is so extensive that you can get something different